I call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Northfield Public School Board. Today is Monday, August 10th, and the time is 6 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The recording of this meeting will be posted on the district website as soon as possible. Welcome members of our community here tonight to observe the important work being done on behalf of all school district stakeholders. Dr. Anderson, we have some items in the table file. Will you update us?
Well, good evening. Thank you, Chair Gonzalez-George and board members. In the table file tonight, some updates to the consent agenda. So some personnel items, appointments, changes in assignment, resignations are included in your table file. And then there's items for information, updates and additions. So the construction update is updated with some additional information. And the e-learning day plan also includes an updated provision from what you were originally provided. And those are the main table file items.
All right, thank you very much. If there are no objections, we will add these items to the agenda as we move forward. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Corin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, motion passes. Are there any district commentators? No, okay. Then we will move on to item 4, which is our announcements and recognitions. Dr. Anderson.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. A number of announcements to surface this evening. First, I'm proud to announce that the district has received a donation, $6,000 donation from Dakota Electric to support the Greenville Park Community School programming. And this funding will go directly to support club leaders and materials for our students. Viewers and those in attendance may know the community school model is vital to our district, and we are proud of it. It serves as a hub for our local resources and family support. And while the loss of federal 21st century grant funding in 2025 created an annual funding gap, this donation is a critical step towards maintaining these essential free programs for our students. I want to thank Peggy Johnson from Dakota Electric and CEO Ryan Henches for this donation. I also like to announce the 2026 Governor's Pheasant Hunting Opener. The Northfield Chamber of Commerce has been selected to host the 2026 Governor's Pheasant Hunting Opener this fall. It's a significant honor that will highlight Northfield's assets to state leaders and media representatives from across Minnesota. And so on Friday, October the 9th, Greenville Park Elementary will serve as a site for community outreach activities in conjunction with the event. And we are coordinating with the DNR, the community education team, to host 4th grade learning stations, which will provide unique opportunities to showcase our students and our school to statewide visitors. Thanks to Sam Richardson, principal, for his role in coordinating and supporting this opportunity for our community. Third item of announcement is that the city of Northfield anticipates that they will be transitioning from the old ice arena to the new one this month, and are pleased to announce that they were authorized for on-site solar after some initial uncertainty. The district's first payment to the city will be issued this month, and the city thanks the district for their partnership, and all parties involved are excited to start utilizing the new facility. And finally, I'd like to announce that 34 incoming 7th grade students had the successful trip to Eagle Bluff on July 20th through the 22nd. And while they were there, the Northfield students demonstrated a willingness to challenge themselves, and they displayed top-tier energy and great teamwork. The community, our community education would like to offer thanks to district staff and parent chaperones for assisting with this trip. Northfield School District staff included Chris O'Neill and Paula Bargery, and volunteer chaperones included Troy, Liz, and Travis Posh. So thanks to those folks. And those are the announcements for this evening.
Good, thank you. Board members, do you have any announcements or recognitions at this time? Okay, very good. We'll move on to item 5, and that is our leadership introductions. We're very excited to welcome new leaders tonight to present on their backgrounds and highlight their experiences so far. And so, Dr. Anderson, I'll have you facilitate calling people out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're going to proceed this evening in a very traditional manner and go by alphabetical last name. So there were some different suggestions from folks, but we thought this would be the most egalitarian and recognizable. So, Ms. Anderson, would you please introduce yourself to the group? You're up first. With a name like Anderson, it must be good.
Right. Good evening, Superintendent and school board members. My name is Elisa Anderson. I am coming to Northfield most recently from Lakeville. I was in Lakeville Public Schools for about 10 years, serving in various roles within the special education department. And my role here in Northfield is Assistant Director of Special Services. Before that, I worked as a Setting 4 teacher in Intermediate District 287. And before that, I began my career in education actually as a music therapist. So my first degree was from Augsburg College. I received a master's degree with an emphasis in autism from the University of North Dakota, and then my administrative licenses from St. Mary's. One thing that really drew me to Northfield is the reputation of the district, and not only of the district, but of the staff. Before I had even applied, I started hearing about both the current superintendent, obviously, the incoming superintendent, and the amazing staff that work in this district. And it really encouraged me and provided comfort in knowing that I was applying into a district that were supported by their community and were supported by their school board. One thing that has already come true is the people in this district, the accepting, the patience as we all ask lots of new questions and receive support from the district office has been incredible. One thing I'm looking forward to as we continue our work is the continued collaboration across the district departments. So I've already been able to engage with instructional services, technology, facilities. So it's already proven to be a great district where the collaboration is what's important for the best success of our students. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working in the district.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you. Next, we will go to the Bs. Principal Benhart.
Still the A team,
Still the
though,
A team.
to be clear. I am Ashley Benhart, and I'm the principal at Bridgewater Elementary. My professional journey started in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yes, I'm a Packer fan. Don't hate. I grew up there. And I was a Spanish immersion teacher there for 2 years. My husband and I both had gone to the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. I played softball. He played soccer. And when he graduated, he had stated in a very nonchalant way, "I'm going back to Minnesota. Are you coming with?" And I said, "I will see you there." So I landed here in Northfield as a second grade compañeros teacher for 6 years prior to pursuing my administrative journey in Faribault, and I was there for 3 as an elementary principal. I made my way back home here to Northfield, and I would say the thing that drew me back home here to Northfield was just the values that were instilled in me here as a staff member, just the really deep pursuit and passion for student lifelong success, keeping students at the center of all that we do, how staff empower each other to get there and to remove any barriers along the way. I would say something that has excited me or that I've appreciated so far in this journey is the leadership team and just staff in general, how much of a continuous improvement mindset that everybody has here. Egos get chucked at the door. We're truly here for students, and we're ready to team together and do that work. Something that I'm most excited about to conclude my introduction here would be just to really partner with students, with families, with staff, and with the community to really develop this desired daily experience to enhance the student experience and truly everyone's daily desired experience into this journey of lifelong success, even if it is in Viking land. I am happy to be here and could not be more honored, so thank you for your time.
Welcome.
Thank you. And next, Director Davidson.
Good evening. My name is Caleb Davidson. I'm the new Director of Special Services. Previously, I served for 3 years as the Assistant Director here in Northfield. Prior to that, I spent some time with the Cannon Valley Special Education Cooperative, our Setting 4 program, and then previously I started my career in Iowa as a middle school resource teacher. I initially started working for Northfield way back as a targeted services teacher, and then slowly had different opportunities that brought me back to Northfield in an administrative role. And what is evident throughout my time in Northfield is the community investment in students and wanting to give students amazing educational experiences. Something that I've already appreciated about my role and continuing in my role with special services is collaborating with the professional, dedicated, and knowledgeable educators and administrators as we plan and prepare for a great year for students. And something I look forward to doing is continuing the great work of implementing inclusive practices to support all students to be curious and ready to engage in our society. Thank you.
Thank you. HR Director O'Rourke.
Thank you. Ooh, a little shorter than everybody else. Good evening, everyone. My name's Noella O'Rourke, and I'm excited to be joining Northfield Public Schools as your next HR Director. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here and introduce myself to the board and to the Northfield community. A little bit about myself. I've worked in human resources for 15 years. The last 7 of those have been in K through 12 education. And most recently, I served as the senior HR officer for a charter school in Minneapolis. I earned my bachelor's degree from William Penn University and a master's from Strayer University, and had an organizational development emphasis with that. While I've spent much of my career in HR, what I've really come to appreciate about working in education is that HR is ultimately about the people. And the people are the people that we hire, we support, develop, and retain, and those people have a direct impact on students. One of the things that really drew me to Northfield was the district's strong sense of purpose and its commitment to the whole student. And that's evident in your April 2026 annual report, which was a beautiful layout of programs such as culinary art, music, CTE courses, activities like FFA and dance, and the web program. I believe that creating that kind of environment for students starts with the staff. And so that's what I am trying to bring here to Northfield. The opportunity to be part of a district that's clearly committed to continuous improvement, whether it be updating a school mascot logo or witnessing and involving the Imagine Northfield project. I see commitment to improvement. That's going to benefit scholars in the long run, and so my job is to be able to support that work. Something I already appreciate about my experience here, and you're going to probably hear this a lot, is the people. I've been really impressed with how welcoming everyone has been during my first several weeks. I think it's a little over a month now I've been here. And I'm getting to know the staff, administrators, and even some campus staff, and eventually the students as well. As somebody who's new to the district, I'm coming in with fresh eyes, and I also recognize there's a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge already here. I'm looking forward to learning from the people who know and knew Northfield best, while also bringing in my own experience. I'm grateful to be here, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Jill Peterson. I am the other Assistant Director of Special Services. Excuse me, I apologize. We have a cat homing at our house, and I'm allergic to cats, so I apologize. So I round out the end of our team. We have a new Special Services team. So my journey started, I was a speech-language pathologist. I went to Eau Claire for my undergrad, UW Eau Claire and UW Madison, but I grew up in Minnesota, so I am not a Packers fan. I am a Vikings fan. So... but did live in Appleton when they won the Super Bowl in 1998, which was something to experience as a Vikings fan. Anyway, so started my career as a speech-language pathologist, did a lot of work in birth to 3, early childhood areas, moved to Minnesota, ended up in Iowa. My husband's from Iowa, so kind of did a tour of the Midwest. And then after moving back to Minnesota, went to Bethel for my administration, for my special ed director license. Started in administration back in 2017. I've been in Pine Island. I was started as a coordinator, ended up as our director of special services in Pine Island, was there for 6 years. I've also been in Hastings, and most recently last year I was in Owatonna. So now I'm very excited to be in Northfield. What has kind of drawn me here, because I've been in this area, I have seen Northfield. I knew Cheryl Hall, I knew Sarah Pratt, I've known Caleb for a while, and just have been so impressed with the work that they have done in this area in special services and your district as a whole. It is definitely a district that people want to come to and want to work at. So I am so excited to be part of that. As we've mentioned, the people here have just been absolutely amazing. Having been in several different districts, the culture is just, it's amazing. It is wonderful. It's just so nice to walk into a district office and everyone is friendly and welcoming. You know, we went bowling on my second week here, so it was amazing. So I have very much appreciated that. I've appreciated the collaboration that we've been able to do even just to start the year. So excited for teachers and students to come back to be more involved in that collaboration as well. What I'm very excited for this year is just to continue the good work, building systems, and really doing the work that's best for our students and staff and families. And that's what I'm excited to be here for.
Thank you. Dr. Reichel.
Like some of our friends back here, I have notes, and we have some who are improvers, and I'm going to do a little bit of both for you all tonight. So I come to you tonight as the Director of Instructional Services, and I've had the opportunity to live in this role for more than a decade prior to now in 2 districts. I come most recently from Matamidi, and before that I was in Hastings in this same role. I started my career in English and speech theater, so I did a little theater and speech and helped kids like remove that anxiety about speaking in public, and that was a great way to begin. I hold a bachelor's degree in English and speech theater from Morehead State. I did my master's at the university, or at St. Mary's University, and I have a specialist and a doctoral degree from St. Thomas, and I have the opportunity there to also be an adjunct faculty where I work with aspiring principals and aspiring directors of special ed to help them grow those skills and be ready to serve the next generation. What drew me here to Northfield, I really appreciated as I was perusing the website, the intentional partnership that we have with our community. I loved from cradle to career and the work that we do there, and I'm eager to continue that work with Northfield forward. Quite honestly, I love change, so to come into a system that was having so much leadership change, I'm thrilled for that. I'm going to echo what I think everyone has talked about. The thing that I've appreciated most thus far is the people. We have an amazing team here, and I have had the opportunity to collaborate both with leaders and with educators. I like to say that my journey started real fast and furious in my first few days. I was invited to plan and facilitate 4 half-day meetings right like week 2, so that was a great way to begin. But I really did have an opportunity to meet lots of teachers and the leaders who are just so invested in supporting our kids and families here. And our partnership with TNTP, I've worked with them, and so I've had an opportunity to really spend a lot of time with our administrators, and boy, are we in good shape with the leaders that we have here. What I'm excited about in this work or looking forward to, I love process and I love systems. And so I want to come to this work building on the great processes we already have and really thinking about how to refine to bring additional coherence. It's one of my favorite words. I even have it framed on the wall in my office because I really do think it's important to think about a child's journey from early childhood through graduation and making sure that it makes sense to the kids and their families. Thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Principal Torres.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Unlike my other colleagues, I'm not going to do anything impromptu. I have something written down here, and I'm a Steelers fan since we're all going around and telling each other our teams, right? But anyways, good evening. My name is Rich Torres Jr., and I have the privilege of being the principal at Spring Creek Elementary School. Before anything, I want to thank Dr. Anderson, our school board members, my Northfield colleagues, my Northfield community members, for the opportunity to serve and the trust in me to be in this capacity. My journey in education began in 2017 when I moved here, and at the time, I moved here with every intention to just coach. That's all I want to do is coach football, right? That doesn't pay the bills. But however, I love just being around younger people and inspiring them to do things that they didn't know that they were capable of becoming. And that passion eventually led me into the schools as an educational assistant, as a home to school liaison, really working on and crafting those relationships between the school, families, and the student at the core of the entirety of the work. I was a community culture liaison, doing a ton of equity work in South Washington County schools for over 8 different schools. I served as a high school dean. I served as an elementary dean. I was an assistant administrator, which is the capacity of an assistant principal at Pinewood Community School in 196. And currently, I'm the principal at Spring Creek Elementary School. When I reflect on my journey, every step served a greater purpose. Each role gave me different perspectives of students, families, staff, systems, and leadership. It taught me the importance of being proactive, listening before acting, and recognizing that schools cannot work in isolation. The overarching purpose behind my work has remained consistent. My intent is to expand the trajectory of success for students and strengthen the partnership between school, home, and the child at the core of it all. What drew me to Northfield was the opportunity to be a part of a community where collaboration and pride were so evident. Even in my short time here, as everyone has spoken about, I've sat in rooms with administrators across the entire district and felt genuinely supported. I met staff members who have served in this community for 10, 20, even more years, and they still talk about their schools with such tremendous pride. I have interacted with families and students who are genuinely excited about being a part of this community, and there's a sense of authenticity that really resonates with me. At Spring Creek specifically, I'm most looking forward to the relationships. I want our students and our families to know that I'm there with them every walk of the way. I want our staff members to know that I'm present, invested in walking alongside them. I believe some of the most important leadership happens through everyday interactions that establish trust and create foundations for everything that we hope to accomplish. I'm excited to continue this work, and I'm excited to kick this work off next Tuesday at Popsicles with Principals, where I have the opportunity to meet staff members and my incoming kindergartners. I know we're doing bridges to kindergarten, but from 5 to 8, I'm gonna have bounce houses and popsicles and a bunch of sugar rush fun for parents, right? Hopefully bedtime's easy. Excuse me, I kind of go off on a tangent, right? But I'm incredibly grateful for Dr. Anderson, the school board, my staff members here, my teammates here, the Spring Creek community, and the broader Northfield community for welcoming me and my family here. I don't take this opportunity to serve this community lightly. I'm very excited to contribute to what is already strong here, continue learning from the people around me, building meaningful relationships, and doing my part to expand what is possible for our students. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Principal Torres. I think, board members, what you see here tonight is he used the word authentic. And I think, this has been a representation of the authentic experiences we've had with these new leaders. It's been a pleasure for me to welcome these folks and get to know them a little bit. And one of the things we've talked about in our early meetings together is that induction starts at the interview, that while we are super proud of our district and we have amazing things, we also know that these folks bring amazing things. And so we want them to shape our community in the ways that we also ask them to learn about and invest in our community. And I can tell you I'm very confident in this team from hearing their backgrounds, their interest in serving here. I think the through lines are clear. They honor the culture that we've got and seek to make their mark in service of kids. So I'm proud to have these folks as our new colleagues. I thank them for their investment and thoughtful approach and preparation for tonight. I do have a scoring system about who did the best and who did not. Just kidding. Everyone did fabulously well. I'm very proud of this team, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
That's terrific. Thank you so much to each of you for coming by tonight and presenting a little bit about your background. It's very exciting to hear how many of you started in education and continued on, even in your different, more administrative roles. It's truly an honor and a privilege to support our community, our district kids and parents by supporting your work. So thank you for stepping up and for committing, and thank you also for affirming what a great culture we have in our district. And of course, culture is upkept by people, and that's you. So thank you so much. Board members, do you have any comments? Well, we won't have any questions, but if you have any comments, we can do that. Yeah, Corey.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself tonight. I know it's not a light decision about selecting where you spend your days, so thank you for choosing Northfield. And I wish you a joyous and productive year.
All right, Maggie.
I'll just say thank you all for coming tonight and for introducing yourselves. That was really great. Thank you.
Great, Jeff.
Thanks for the introductions and welcome to Northfield Public Schools.
Excellent. Very nice. Okay, we'll move on to item B. And now we will hear from ALC Director Daryl Keller, who is not new to the district, providing us with successes and highlights from the 25-26 school year and the focus areas for this upcoming academic year. Welcome, Daryl.
Hello, thank you very much. Yes, I am not new. This is my 14th year. My journey is, just kidding. All right, so we'll jump into I think this is the very first of the year, school highlights. And so hopefully I set a good precedent here. So start with the strategic, or the vision of the district. We prepare every student for lifelong success by developing critical thinkers who are curious and ready to engage in our society. And I will highlight some of the things that you'll hear through my presentation. The first one seems to be the theme of the night is people. And so you will hear quite a bit of our intentional work towards the people, the relationships that we build at the ALC. And so that is by far, I'm anticipating that you'll hear the most of throughout this presentation. And then for the district benchmarks, number 7, all students graduate from high school with a plan to reach their full potential. That is also our purpose at the ALC, is to get students graduated with that purpose of the next step. The school improvement plan purpose is sharing success stories, which I will do here, identify some goals. And I did a little alignment with the district strategic plan already. And then the actions that we have. So the 80, 90, 100 framework that Dr. Hillman introduced, I think a couple years now ago, you'll see that spring up throughout the presentation as we try to align. Some things make more sense than others, and so you'll see that kind of throughout the presentation. The first one, highlight number 1, is school climate. So very proud of this highlight. They're in no particular order, but coincidentally it was number 1. And it probably is very high towards the top of that priority. So we use what's called a SEI, Student Engagement Instrument, and we try and do that 2 to 3 times every year. And in that, we survey the students, and it has 24 questions in there of different type. You can see some of them right here. These are the 100% agree or strongly agree. So it's on a Likert scale: agree, strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. And 100% of students agreed to these 4 statements. My teachers are there for me when I need them. I enjoy talking to the teachers here. At my school, teachers care about students, and I feel safe at this school. So very strong results. We're very pleased with those results, that students are feeling safe. That's one of our goals, is to make that environment feel safe and comfortable and positive to the students that attend the ALC. So it's good to see one piece of data that confirms that some students are, or all students are, feeling that way. Highlight number 2, credit completion. And so the graph, I'll quickly explain that. The bars are the current, or last year's 25-26 data points, and the line that's going through it is the average. So our average, I've been keeping track of this not quite since I began, but pretty soon after, so 2015 to 2025, and that's the average of those 10 years. And so the red line's average, and then we have 8 grading periods in a year instead of the semesters or quarters. And so each grading period is a column. And so then you can see each grading period how we did compared to the average. And the highlight is that we were above average for all of them, except the last one we were a little bit below average. But being 7 out of 8 above average was very promising for us and trending in the right direction. The other note that I didn't put a graph on for, but all but 2 grading periods were above average for the students that earned 100% of their credits. So if they earned all their credits, that also was pretty much above average, not quite across the board, but almost. So we were very pleased with that, students were earning their credits. This next one, highlight number 3, 7-year graduation rate. So I have not talked a whole lot about graduation rates in past presentations. This one I thought I'd just give a little context to it because it does come up fairly frequently, especially the 4-year graduation rate. So I wanted to give you all a little bit of context into looking at this in a few different ways. And so there was a push when ESSA became law and students were identified for their graduation rate. There was a push to exclude ALCs because ALCs, one of their qualifiers is they're not on time to graduate. And so that students that aren't on time to graduate should go to the ALCs, and therefore they shouldn't have a 4-year graduation rate. That appeal that was submitted was denied, and so we're still in that cohort of being identified for graduation rates. But just to give you an idea of so along the bottom, I replaced the names with letters because I didn't want to call anyone out in a public forum. But this is the big 9 ALCs. So these are the ALCs in our region, their graduation rates. And so you can see Northfield, we're at 80% for our 7-year graduation rate, which is the highest of our big 9 cohorts. And so on the side there, I also put the 4, 5, 6, 7-year rate. So the 4-year rate is 62%, and then 70, 77, 80. And I'll show you kind of what that means here in a second. The unofficial for the 2026, and it's unofficial because I just hand calculated it, doesn't come out until next year. And so I hand calculated it should be around 69% if all is according to what I think it should be, which is better than our previous 4-year of 2025. But this is, I'm going to try and explain this as best I can. Color-coded because the colors are a cohort. So their 4-year rate, if you look at the fuchsia, for example, is 49 in 2021. So 49% was the 4-year rate in 2021. But then if you continue that fuchsia, the 5-year jumped to 62%. So the students that didn't quite get it done in 4 years, quite a few of them got done in 5 years. And then it jumps again to 73% in 6 years. And then 76 is where it lands in the 7-year rate. So that's where they basically time out and they are no longer eligible for public education, 21 years old. And so at the time it was 21 years old, I should say. And so that cohort went from 49 to 76. So there was a pretty drastic increase in graduates over that time. But this gives you a little bit more of the whole picture than just looking at 4-year rates. And that's why ALCs in general try to advocate as much as possible to look at more than just the 4-year rate because there's more context there that's needed to be put into place. And so then you can see, each color goes at a diagonal to see where different classes end up. And then the other thing that I did at the bottom there is just our 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, and 7-year averages from 2013 to 2025. And so our 4-year average is 61%, our 5-year is 70, 76 is our 6-year, and 77 is our 7-year graduation average. To be identified, it was a 67% rate. If you had lower than a 67% rate, then you were identified as a school. And so we are currently identified still. And so we work with Compass advocates and work through plans to try and increase that 4-year rate. But just to give you an idea, like if it was any other year than 4-year rate, we would have not been identified. So, it's all in the context of like how you look at it. I did put the state average. So in 2022, a fiscal year 2022, there was a report on ALCs throughout the state. They don't do this every year, but that was the last time that they did this. And so that just gives you a comparison of those averages for just ALCs, not the state average, but the ALC averages. So then you can also compare our rates to this ALC state average instead of just our cohort that I did earlier. So again, we're above average for 4, 5, 6, 7-year rates. So that's why I put this as a highlight number 3. We're very proud of our graduation rate and we think it's very strong for our students. All right, switching now to the goal areas. So the goal number one, for those that have heard me in the past, it'll probably sound familiar, attendance rate. So attendance is our always our number one goal for getting students to school. So the ALC, the specific goal is the ALC will increase our attendance rate from 83% to at least 85% during the grading period of for each grading period during the 26-27. And so I broke this down a little bit just to give you some context here. So our attendance goal is 85%. You can see here, again, the goal is 85, that red line. Each grading period from 25-26 is here. So first grading period and second grading period, third grading period, we made that 85. Then we took a little bit of a dip, and we didn't quite get back to that the rest of the year. So the goal is to get to that 85 and then maintain that 85 for the year is what we're hoping to do for the 26-27 school year. Another way to look at it, this is the overall average. And so each year, just the year average of attendance, you can see 80. The peak there of 1920, that was just before a wonderful COVID year. We were at 90% attendance rate, which is a very strong, consistent attendance rate. It's much stronger, again, if you compare it to a lot of, almost any ALC in the state. That's top notch. We did dip after COVID, as many programs did. Then we hovered in the 80s, and then we bumped up to 84, and then last year we were at 83. So we're going back up in the right direction, but again, the goal is to get eventually to 90, but we decided to go for the 85 consistently, and then next step would get back up to that 90%. And then one last way that we look at this at the ALC is our trend line. And so again, the average now is the red line, so it's the average for the last 10 years. And so you can see we were pretty close to average. We were a little bit above it a couple times and a little bit below it a couple times. And so, so throughout the year, we were, again, not as consistent as we want to be with the attendance rate. And so that's why we have this as our goal, is to maintain that consistency. It does happen naturally throughout the year with ALCs, and I would venture to guess with schools in general. The start of the year, students are excited, coming back, refreshed. We normally have a very strong first grading period, and then as the year goes, the sustainability gets tougher. And then as the second semester starts, we have that winter break, the second semester starts, there's a renewed vigor where it bumps up a little bit, and then it, again, weather gets nicer, it gets tougher. So there's a little bit of a natural roller coaster in there, just with the emotions that play in a typical school year. But we do want to try and make that a consistent 85 across the year. Goal number two is credit completion. So like I said with the attendance, this is our year after year goal. We really strive for credit completion. We want to get students there, and we want to have students earn credits so that they are on their way to graduation. And so credit completion is not a new goal that we've had, but we have tweaked this goal. So our credit completion goal is 80%, trying to follow that 80, 90, 100. Here you can see the goal is 80. If you look at last year's data, we made it the first one, 89%, 79%, and then we just were under the mark, and then that grading period 8 was a really rough one for us this last year. And so that we want to, again, get to that 80% mark of students earning credits at an 80% rate. The next part of the presentation that was asked to be put in was the staff survey reflection and goals. And so the first bullet, the ALC staff is fantastic. I'm just super proud of all the work that they do. We do a lot of collaboration, a lot of flexibility. I think it was mentioned a few times, continuous improvement. It is just how people live and breathe at the ALC. And so we're not afraid to experiment, try something, see if it works. If it does, excellent. If it doesn't, let's tweak it and try it again. And we do that over and over again with a lot of different plans, especially when life happens for our students and we have to veer that plan over and over again. So we have a lot of practice with that continuous improvement mindset. These are all the statements. I'm not going to read them all. You can see those for all the ones that were tied for 100% of top box. So that means they were rated at the top two, agree, strongly agree. And so these, for the staff survey that was done in the spring, there was quite a few very positive comments, which was great to see. The staff continually improve, want to continually improve, and so all these things we want to just try and get as many as possible on that, feeling like a cohesive team. The goal is to increase staff agreement, that organization level information is effectively communicated across the organization. So this is the one that was the least, so these are all the top box. This one was the least, so it was 40% agreed to at least 80% that organization level information is effectively communicated. And that is all I have. And so just to give you a quick run through, we in the upper right corner, we took a group, our Native American literature group, to Hokakata for the Native American Museum this last year, which was fantastic. The next one down is the Capitol. We took a group of our map stars to the state capitol for Legislative Day. The one in the middle is holiday caroling, had 3 links, and we did some caroling across the street. And then the next one, Secretary of State Steve Simon came and we met him. That's right over here, actually, that happened. So our students got to meet and talk with him about voting. The next one, we did some volunteering at Feed My Starving Children, which is a fantastic experience. And then the one in the middle, I thought was just great because she has a great smile, loving her art, and just enjoying the day.
Great, thank you, Daryl.
Yes.
Okay, I'll open it up for board members to have, if you have any questions or have a comment. Okay, Corey?
Hey, Daryl. Good to see you.
Yes.
2 questions. One, I don't know if the slideshow got updated after we got it, but the chart that you have at the table with the 7-year,
Yep.
I'd love to have that just for record because I think it's a great illustration of the progress.
Yeah, it was in the link, but we had to add it as a slide because for the presentation to show on the screens. So yeah, I can make sure that you get that.
That'd be great. Just,
Yep.
I think it's good information to have.
Yep.
And then I just had a question concerning credit completion. I know historically, and you have the 10-year bar on here, that period 4, which falls over winter break, typically is a challenge.
Yep.
And it looks like this past year you had a good year with it. And I know there's so many variables, cohorts are different.
Yep.
I didn't know if there's some strategy or different approaches this year that you saw more success for that retention over that period.
So it's interesting because we did for cohort or for grading period 4 this year, it was very short, just the way the calendar fell. And so what we did is we really dug into our community building that grading period. And so what we did is we put in a lot of efforts in field trips, community events, that kind of thing. And so we did a lot of that for grading period 4, which did increase our credit completion, our attendance rate for that. But then interestingly enough, our grading period 5, it kind of slipped from 4 to 5. And so this year what we noticed is although 4 got up, then 5 kind of took the hit, if that makes sense. And so it was interesting for us, and we've already talked about it as our end of the year wrap up last year. So this year we're going to brainstorm how can we avoid that, but still address that grading period 4. That's a tough one.
For the reasons you stated, it's probably going to happen at some point in the year, but if you can kind of equalize
Right.
and
Yep.
avoid the ups and
Yeah,
downs.
try and minimize as much as we can.
Looks like you had some success this year, so. well
Yeah,
done.
yeah, thank you.
All right, Maggie?
Thank you. My understanding is that students enter into the ALC at various points throughout the year. Can you talk a little bit about how that might affect the attendance rates over the course of the year and kind of what you do to maybe encourage students to come to the ALC if they're new?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. And so we do have, every grading period is about a month long. And so at each month, we can have new students transition over. So if things are a struggle wherever they're at, they can transition really only, every couple weeks, there's a new grading period right around the corner. One of those things that does happen is we get groups of students that'll come in. Last year, actually 2 years ago, this was incredibly noticeable. We had a larger group, and that larger group was very engaged and very interested, excited to join the ALC. And so our attendance rates just bumped up because we had a larger group. We are a smaller program, so to have that larger end join and just really be there every day, you could really see it with our attendance rates. The vice versa is also true. If there's a group of students that one of our qualifiers is being withdrawn or truant from school, and so we have had cohorts where that group of students coming in is involved with the court's truancy or just dropped out of school, that kind of thing. And so then you can also conversely see that same thing where there's a dip in attendance just because that's where they're at. And so then our goal is to make that, going back to slide 1, a safe, a welcoming, comfortable place, positive energy. So when they do come, they say, yeah, I think I could come here more often. This feels all right. And then build on not the habits that they've formed, but get them back engaged in the school. Yeah.
I'm just wondering on the scope of attendance or the draw of where we get kids from. I mean, obviously it's a school district, but do we expand further than that?
Yeah, yep, so we do. So we do have, this is kind of not all that common, but it does happen. So we had some students that came from Mississippi, and we have another one coming back from Mississippi this school year. We've had some Shakopee, kind of the more outer rim, if you will. But we do have quite a few that'll, especially like we just had our summer program, our summer credit recovery. And some of those students, we've had some from Randolph that typically come to that, say, hey, I actually kind of enjoy this. And then they'll transfer in from Randolph. It's not a huge number, but for the size of both theirs and ours, it is noticeable. Faribault does have students that come over from Faribault every year, and we do have some New Prague. We did have some students that drove from Kenyon each day. We have had some from Morristown each day, so there's some that will make quite a hike. We get a little nervous with the weather if they're driving too far, but there are, that kind of first circle, if you will, of Faribault, Randolph. We have that more common, and then the outer rings of Kenyon and Morristown happens occasionally. And then students moving in from out of state, we always have a couple students that'll move in from out of state and say, we're looking for options. We have a student that's behind in credits, and then kind of goes from there. Yeah.
I wanted to say that I especially appreciated the background and the connection to the other ALCs. That was really helpful to see the comparisons and understand that it's more than just the 4 years and that it changes from month to month too.
Yep.
And Maggie alluded to this or started to ask this question about how do you encourage students to make that attendance goal? Do they know that you're that is a goal of the ALC to hit that 80% mark?
Yeah. So we do. We've done a few different strategies. One time we made a bulletin board with our goal, and we tracked it on the bulletin board in the hallway and just had it right out there. We've done that. We've also more frequently now we lean into the MAP stars, so that group that's it's tough to explain, but it's kind of our version of student council. So it's students looking for some leadership, and so we do some leadership things. They help with brainstorming things and planning events, that kind of thing. And so they're taking a step, trying out the leadership role, if you will. And so what we do is we bring the data to them for the SEI survey of like, here's the data, what do you think? And also for this kind of data to say, hey, what are your thoughts? Why are people not attending? And how could it be that we could support them to attend more? And so we have a lot of those conversations with students too, to try and bring them into that and give us some ideas of what may be going on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This isn't really a question about motivation, but Claudia's question made me think about it. I think a few years ago you shared that you all have like an art wall that graduates can paint their hands or paint the message on. Is that still going on? And
Yep.
is that sometimes an incentive for some students to know that they can leave a legacy in that way?
It is definitely growing in popularity. So we have, I think it was 3 years ago, might have been more. For me, time is a little tough, but We started a graduation signature wall. And so once you complete all your credits, you can sign the wall, and we have Northfield ALC graduates kind of printed on there. And so students are, once they finish, it's definitely becoming a tradition, trend of students look forward to signing the wall. They'll come back specifically for that to say, I didn't get a chance to sign it. So we have some students that were, before we started that'll come back and we'll say, hey, did you get a chance to sign it? And they for sure will sign it. But yeah, we had quite a few this year that they definitely made a comment of wanting to sign the wall. So it was pretty cool. Yep.
All right, thank you, Daryl. Appreciate
Yeah,
you tonight.
thank you.
Item C tonight is the Permanent School Fund, and Superintendent Anderson will facilitate that conversation.
Well, thank you, Chair Gonzalez-George. I will switch over to the presentation mode that I'm still learning how to operate, but it looks like we're up and running. So this fall, Minnesota voters will decide a constitutional ballot question about the Permanent School Fund. And tonight's goal is purely informational to make sure board and community understand what the fund is, what the amendment would do, and what it might mean for Northfield. And later on, we'll hear from our finance director for some of those pieces. So that's what we're here doing this evening with this agenda item. Of course, we have our very important strategic plan, and this Permanent School Fund effort connects to our strategic plan in that we help our community engage thoughtfully in civic life, which includes understanding ballot questions that affect our schools. As trusted messengers as a school system, we're likely to get questions from families and community members about this amendment, and tonight's briefing prepares us to answer those questions accurately and appropriately. Under Minnesota law, school districts and their employees may provide factual information. It's educational information that helps folks understand a ballot measure. But we may not use district resources to encourage a particular vote. So this presentation follows that guidance closely, and we'll come back to that near the end. I think I went ahead two there. So what is Minnesota's Permanent School Fund? The Permanent School Fund dates back to our statehood in 1858. Federal land grants set aside acreage specifically to benefit public schools. And rather than being spent once, that land became a permanent trust. It still generates revenue today through timber, mining, and land leases. And most of the land is concentrated in northern Minnesota, and this is something I didn't know because southern Minnesota land was sold off in the 1800s to encourage settlement and agriculture. And so, who manages the fund today? There are three state entities that work together. The DNR manages the land itself and the revenue that it produces. The State Board of Investment invests those proceeds, and the Department of Education distributes the resulting payments to districts and to charter schools. The key issue is how the last step is calculated. Current law only allows distributing interest and dividend income, which is why the fund's overall growth hasn't proportionally increased what schools receive. And so here you can see the fund by the numbers. The fund itself has grown substantially, as you can see, from $675 million in 2010 to roughly $2.3 billion in 2025, by 2025 numbers. And that's because of investment returns and land revenue. Now, because the current law limits distributions to interest and dividends only, statewide annual payouts have stayed comparatively modest, about $58 million a year on average, or roughly $68 per pupil in recent measures. And so why is a change being considered? Because the current distribution formula is written directly into the Minnesota Constitution, only the legislature and ultimately voters can change it. In 2024, lawmakers convened a nonpartisan task force that included investment, trust, legal, and education experts to study whether the formula still served both current and future students well. And the task force made recommendations. The task force recommended distributing 4.5% of the fund's 3-year rolling average market value each year, starting in mid-2027. And that's the same general approach that's used by most large university endowments. It smooths out market ups and downs while allowing more of the fund's overall growth to reach students. And the recommendation was unanimous and the legislature passed it with bipartisan votes in both chambers this past May. And you can see those vote totals on the slide. And so what would change and what wouldn't? This slide lines up the current formula against what's proposed. Today, distributions come only from interest and dividends. That's about 2 to 2.5% a year, and that again averages at about $58 per student. Under the proposal, distributions would be at 4.5% of the fund's 3-year average market value. And task force estimates suggest that could increase the per pupil distributions by roughly 40%, though actual amounts do depend on future fund performance. Importantly, no taxes go up. The underlying land and fund stay exactly as they are, and local districts, including Northfield, keep full authority over how any funds are used. So what will voters see on the ballot? This is the exact language that will appear on the ballot statewide this November. One important purely procedural point: Minnesota's Constitution requires a majority of all voters casting ballots in that election, not just those who answer this specific question. So leaving it blank counts the same as a no vote. That's simply how Minnesota election law works for constitutional amendments, and it applies the same way regardless of the topic. So for illustration, what could this mean for Northfield? And since I'm still studying our district finances, and since we have a finance expert here with us tonight, I'm going to defer to Director Val to talk through the slide.
My pleasure. So I think it's important, especially when we're talking about changing the Constitution, that voters understand what that means locally for Northfield. So we have approximately just shy of 3,700 students. And based on the data, 58 or 68 per pupil, there's a few estimates that have been shared from the work team. The proposed payout would increase to about 96 per student. And so that $28 increase would be about $103,000 additional revenue for Northfield. It's unrestricted. It just goes into our general fund and supports our general operating that you see in that budget process that we do each year. Just for context, right now we get about $260,000, so that would be an additional $100,000 on top of that. Again, as Dr. Anderson said, it's really dependent on student enrollment, how the fund's doing, but these are the estimates that the work team had come up with, and so we just wanted to share what that potential local impact would be should the voters choose to pass that.
Thank you.
Yep.
So our role here is to inform and not advocate. That's the guidance from the Minnesota School Boards Association, and it's the standard we're holding ourselves to here in Northfield Public Schools tonight, and of course, moving forward. We can and should help our community understand the facts, what the fund is, what the amendment does, what the ballot will say, and what we can't do as a district using public resources is tell people how to vote. Any specific questions about what's allowed, we would consult with legal counsel. Where can you find more information? Those sources are listed on this slide. Minnesota School Boards Association has a helpful resource. You can certainly look up the Minnesota Office of School Trust Lands. The DNR has information, and then there's legislation that you can track as well. With that, I'd open it up for any questions and discussion.
Good, thank you so much. Board members, do you have any questions on this item? Not at this time. Oh, Corey.
I thought I'd give others an opportunity. Thanks for the report, Dr. Anderson. I think it's very timely and important. As you noted in your presentation, early voting starts September 18th, which is just a little more than 5 weeks out. So in terms of informing the community, I think this is a good first step. You had noted on your slides that what educators can do, which I appreciate. There's always a hard line there, and there should be. Do we have a plan for what we will do versus what we can do? Are we going to have any information on our website about this, or any email communications as families come back to the community? And then obviously, how do we reach the broader community? Are we going to take any additional steps for that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think one of the things I understand that we do well and that we would plan to do well with this issue is do cascading information. So we'll have a way to make sure that our school leaders, some of whom you've met tonight, are up to speed. So we'll have a chance to check in with them. We will use our regular communication with the community, those regular mechanisms. And then I think we would still be exploring other ways. We're paying attention to what other districts in the state are doing. Dr. Hillman and the Minnesota Association of School Administrators have different ways that they're encouraging districts to do it. And we've seen some early successful strategies that we would want to tailor those to Northfield. So coming up soon, we want to use those cascading strategies. So I appreciate that question.
Thank you.
No. And then my question is, should the voters decide against it, will this question be brought up at a future voting cycle?
I can't be certain about that. We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we're on item 6, our consent agenda. As a reminder, there were some personnel items in the table file added to that consent grouping and some updated reports. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent grouping for separate consideration? Is there a motion to approve the consent grouping?
Motion.
Thank you, Maggie. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Corey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion passes. Our next item is items for individual action, and we have one tonight. It is a resolution, so we'll have Kelly help us with that vote. The text of the resolution is a part of the packet, and the packet is published on our website, available to all. So I'll take a resolution, and then we can have discussion and then vote. Is there a motion to approve the resolution relating to the election of school board members and calling the school board election?
I'll move.
Thank you, Corey. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. So relating to the election of school board members and calling the school board election, the Board of Education is requested to adopt the attached resolution regarding the school board election to be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026. This resolution is the board's authorization necessary to formally establish this year's election process. The adoption of this resolution will meet the requirements necessary to comply with the election process. Ballots for school board election will be included in the general election ballots prepared by the county auditors. The official canvass of the election results will be scheduled as an agenda item for the regular board meeting on Monday, November 9th. Board members, do you have any questions or comments on this item? All right, seeing none, then we will move to a vote. Kelly, will you help?
Butler,
Aye.
Epstein,
Aye.
Quinnell,
Aye.
Gonzalez, George.
Aye. Right, motion passes, thank you. Item 8 is our items for information, and first up we have an update, construction update number 29. Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Construction Update 29 includes the idea that as we continue the Northfield High School project, we're moving into a new phase of utility work. So I'd like to offer just a few updates on the latest site progress and a word about community access. So first, with regard to site access and parking, Water main excavation is moving across the northeast parking lot toward the old basketball and tennis courts. Consequently, parking is now limited to the eastern side of that lot. And for safety, the excavation zones are fully blocked or blockaded, and pedestrian access to doors 1 and 37 remain open via the north and south sidewalks. Now, there is some updated construction monitoring. So we've activated a second Ox Blue camera to provide expanded project visibility. So camera 1, anchored near Memorial Field, captures the south parking lot, music addition, and gym expansion. And camera 2, which is anchored near the main entrance door number 1 roof, provides a view of the new classroom addition, and you can see live progress on the Northfield High School construction cam that's on the Reimagine website. Recently, a drone was flown over the site on August 6th, which gave some aerial views of the underground utility work that's being completed. Again, you can see that drone footage. I myself was captivated by the drone footage, and I would recommend, if that's of interest to you, to watch that. For the week ending now, last week, August 7th, there was water main utility excavation and piping installation. There was completed rock layers for the underground storm structure. We received site deliveries for sanitary and storm sewer concrete structures. And then looking ahead to this week, continuing the water main excavation and piping in that northeast lot, installing utility structures and piping as they arrive, beginning the backfilling over the underground storm structure to prepare for the parking lot sub upgrade, and then mobilizing and starting excavation for geothermal lateral piping for the existing building. Knutson is our construction agent partner, and they send weekly project updates. These weekly updates are being posted on the Reimagine website, and wanted to highlight some items for folks. If they go to the Reimagine website, there's lots of information, thanks to Kelly for her regular tending to this. You can see it has construction updates that you can see each week. I mentioned the construction camera time-lapse viewing link is here. You can see the drone flight with a live link there. It has those updates that I went over. And then updated is this map for parking. So I would point out that due to continued progress on the site, there will be increased construction traffic along Raider Drive, as you can see right on the website. And for safety purposes, only construction vehicles are to enter the construction zone through the gated fence. And of particular interest to folks attending football, volleyball, soccer games, they should use Raider Drive on the southwest corner of the map below to drop off or park for entry into Memorial Field, or to enter door 10 at the high school. Folks attending tennis matches should enter the site using Division Street on the east side of the map for that drop-off. And this, as you can see, is updated on August 10th. That's today. And you can take a nice look at what's permissible on this graphic at the website. The high school team is working weekly with regular connections to our project partners to make sure these remain updated and accessible for folks during this most recently and increasingly busy fall activities season. And with that, that is the construction update.
All right, excellent. Thank you for providing that and for doing that walkthrough on the webpage, accessible on the homepage of the district website. Board members, do you have any questions or comments? This item? None at this time. Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And now we will move on to item B, which is the annual fundraising report. Director of Finance Val Murderstuff will review the fundraising report as required by policy 713. All right, Val.
Thank you. So again, as the policy requires, this is a report of the fundraising activities that happened specifically just for our student activity accounts. So as a reminder, the student activity accounts are money that is raised by the students and then used for the students. So this can be to buy matching team gear, to raise funds to support going to a national conference or convention, or just program support in general. And so you'll see it's laid out by activity, the type of fundraiser, what the purpose of raising funds were, and then what their net results were. And so we had lots of variety this year. FFA, as you know, has been a newer addition, and so they have been really diving in and finding ways to support their programming to continue to expand and offer opportunities for the students that are engaged in that. But other than that, it's been pretty normal activities and raising funds for their various trips and their teams. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Good. Board members, do you have questions at this time? Okay, thanks, Val.
Yep.
Right, item C is the staff breakfast and program. Northfield Public Schools will welcome back staff for the 26-27 school year on Tuesday, September 1, from 7:30 to 10 a.m. at the Northfield Middle School. The board is invited to join. Item D is the e-learning plan for 2026-2027. Superintendent Anderson, can you update us on that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Linked in your packet, board members, is the plan that should be somewhat familiar to you since it's been in play now. This will be the third year of its use. Just some highlights I'd make as you peruse the plan. First, we're entering, as I said, the third year of implementing the e-learning days procedures. And this model that we've got is designed to be effective at maintaining instructional momentum during winter weather closures, ensuring we don't need to extend the school year further into June. And I particularly appreciate that since we do extend far into June. And I'm also pleased to report that our union partners have recently renewed their commitment and alignment with this set of guidelines. The why behind this strategy is that our goal is to prioritize instructional continuity. The policy remains straightforward that the first full closure due to weather allows us to assess conditions, while the second and subsequent closures trigger those e-learning days. This structure, we think, offers a balanced, proactive approach that respects the academic calendar while still providing flexibility needed for potential weather challenges. In terms of operational functioning, we intend that our communication and expectations to ensure a smooth transition happens for families. The guidelines clearly outline expectations for staff availability, ensuring students can easily connect, whether that's via email, voicemail, our digital platforms like Schoology, Seesaw, etc. We're also interested in ensuring rigor and responsibility. So one clarification for this year's implementation, it's important to emphasize that secondary students remain fully responsible for completing their assigned work on e-learning days. This is a core expectation of the program, ensuring that while the delivery method shifts, the academic rigor remains consistent. And I think we've been inconsistent in making that clear, perhaps, and we'll work moving forward to make that continually clear for folks. I'd also offer a reflection on flexibility and support. We certainly recognize that every family situation is unique. And while this expectation is that there's participation, we'll continue to provide an opt-out option for parents, and we have clear protocols for students who may need extensions due to internet connectivity or family responsibilities. So in the end, I think we're confident in this program's stability and its ability to serve our students effectively and successfully for another school year.
Great, thank you so much. Board members, do you have any comments or questions? All right, thank you for that update. And now item 9 is our future meetings, and those are Monday, August 24th. That's a regular school board meeting here in this boardroom. Monday, September 14th, another regular school board meeting. And then Monday, September 28th, a regular school board meeting also in this boardroom. That is all the business that we have today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.